From Goddess to God: How Women Were Worshipped and Held Power Before Patriarchy and Religious Texts. This work was written by Ethan Blackwell on October 4, 2024. He writes on female-led relationships, empowerment, and matriarchal leadership, exploring new dynamics in love, power, and connection to the goddess. Throughout ancient history, women held powerful positions in society, not just in terms of family life but also in religion, politics, and economics. Before the rise of patriarchal societies and the major monotheistic religions we know today, many early cultures worshipped female deities and revered the feminine as a source of life, fertility, wisdom, and power. However, as societies transitioned toward male-dominated systems, the role of women diminished significantly, and patriarchal structures became the norm, culminating in religious texts like the Bible, which reinforced the notion of male superiority and authority. This article explores how women were once worshipped, held power, and were central to early societies before a dramatic shift occurred that placed men in control, altering the course of gender dynamics and societal structures for millennia. The worship of the goddess: women as central figures in early cultures. In prehistoric times, women were often seen as the bearers of life, and many early societies worshipped female deities that embodied fertility, the cycles of nature, and the nurturing power of the earth. These goddesses were seen as creators and protectors, closely tied to the rhythms of the natural world. One goddess cultures and matriarchy. Some of the earliest archaeological evidence, such as the famous Venus figurines from Europe and the Near East, dating back to around 25,000 years ago, suggests that people revered the female form as a symbol of fertility and life. These figurines, with exaggerated reproductive features, likely represented the Great Mother Goddess, a central figure in many prehistoric belief systems. Gimbutas, 1991. Ancient civilizations such as those in Mesopotamia, Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, and the Mediterranean were heavily influenced by goddess worship. Goddesses like Inanna, Sumeria, Ishtar, Babylonia, and Cybele, Anatolia, were seen as the embodiment of life-giving power in these societies. Women often held high-ranking religious roles as priestesses, and some historians argue that many of these cultures were more egalitarian, if not matriarchal. Stone, 1976. In Neolithic societies, such as those at Çatalhöyük in modern-day Turkey, archaeological evidence suggests that women played significant roles not only in religious practices, but also in the management of communal resources, such as food and property. These societies were likely more cooperative, with women involved in decision-making processes. Gimbutas, 1991. Eisler, 1987. 2. The Great Goddess and Sacred Feminine. Across various ancient cultures, the Great Goddess was seen as the source of all life. In Egypt, Isis was one of the most powerful deities, worshipped as the mother of creation and a healer. Walker, 1983. In Crete, the Minoan civilization revered a powerful goddess associated with fertility, nature, and the cycles of life and death. Stone, 1976. The earth itself was often personified as a nurturing mother. Mother Earth, or Gaia in Greek tradition, was seen as the origin of life, with the power to create and sustain the world. This sacred feminine energy was central to the spiritual and cultural life of many early civilizations. Campbell, 1959. The shift toward patriarchy: the rise of male gods and social systems. As society advanced, particularly with the development of agriculture, the dynamics of power began to shift. Patriarchal systems began to emerge, particularly with the rise of Indo-European nomadic tribes and Semitic cultures in the Near East. With this shift came the elevation of male deities and the gradual decline of female goddesses. 1. The Indo-European invasions and male dominance. Around 4000 to 3000 BCE, Indo-European tribes began to migrate into the Near East, Europe, and India, bringing with them patriarchal structures and warrior-based societies. These tribes worshipped male sky gods and storm gods, like Zeus in Greece and Thor in Norse tradition. In these systems, men dominated both religious and political life, and female deities, once central figures, were either pushed to the background or absorbed into a pantheon where male gods reigned supreme. Eisler, 1987. For instance, in ancient Greece, the once powerful goddesses like Gaia and Demeter were overshadowed by the rise of Zeus and the Olympian gods. While goddesses still existed, their power was secondary to that of male deities. This transition mirrored the shift in societal roles, where men became the primary rulers and decision-makers. Spretnak, 1978. 2. Hebrew religion and the suppression of the goddess. The ancient Hebrew religion also played a significant role in this transformation. Early Hebrew culture, like many other ancient cultures, was initially polytheistic, and there is evidence that the goddess Ashura was worshipped alongside Yahweh. Taylor, 2015. Ashura was considered a mother goddess, a fertility figure, and a partner to Yahweh in early Hebrew texts and artifacts. However, with the establishment of monotheism and the strict worship of Yahweh alone, the worship of female deities was declared idolatrous and sinful. Stone, 1976. The Hebrew Bible, particularly in books like Genesis, began to lay the foundation for male dominance. In the story of Adam and Eve, for instance, Eve is depicted as the one who brings sin into the world by disobeying God, a narrative that has had a lasting impact on the perception of women in Western society. King, 1999. 3. The role of early Christianity and other monotheistic religions. With the rise of Christianity, the suppression of the feminine continued. The concept of a single, all-powerful male god took hold, and religious texts like the Bible further reinforced male authority. The Apostle Paul, in the New Testament, explicitly stated that men were to have authority over women, 1 Corinthians 11:3, and early Christian leaders often viewed women as spiritually weaker than men. King, 1999. In Christianity, the most significant female figure, the Virgin Mary, was revered for her role as the mother of Christ, but she was also idealized for her purity, obedience, and submissiveness. This image of women, as virtuous only when they are passive and subservient, contrasted sharply with the powerful goddesses of earlier times. Ruther, 2005. The aftermath, patriarchy's long shadow. As patriarchal religions like Christianity, Judaism, and Islam grew in influence, the role of women in society became increasingly restricted. The religious texts that emerged from these traditions solidified male dominance, often portraying women as inferior or sinful, with their primary role being in the domestic sphere. Walker, 1983. The suppression of goddess worship and the rise of monotheistic, patriarchal religions marked the beginning of a long era in which women's power was systematically diminished, not just spiritually but politically and socially as well. Conclusion: a legacy of female power and the need for rebalance. Before the rise of patriarchal systems, women played central roles in religion, politics, and society, often holding positions of power and reverence. They were worshipped as goddesses and respected as leaders, reflecting a more balanced approach to gender dynamics. However, the shift toward male-dominated systems and the introduction of patriarchal religious texts reshaped these early societies, pushing women into subordinate roles. Today, as we re-examine history and the contributions of women, there is a growing recognition of the need to restore balance, and by understanding how women were once worshipped and held power, we can begin to challenge the historical norms that have diminished their roles and work toward a more equitable future where both the feminine and masculine are honored equally. References: Campbell, J. 1959, The Masks of God, Primitive Mythology. Viking Press. Eisler, R. 1987. The Chalice and the Blade. Our History, Our Future. Harper and Row. Gimbutas, M. 1991. The Civilization of the Goddess, The World of Old Europe. Harper, San Francisco. King, K. L. 1999. Women in Ancient Christianity. The New Discoveries. Princeton University Press. Ruther, R. 2005. Goddesses and the Divine Feminine. A Western Religious History. University of California Press.L. Spretnak, C. 1978. Lost Goddesses of Early Greece. A Collection of Pre-Hellenic Myths. Beacon Press. Stone, M. 1976. When God Was a Woman. Harcourt Brace Jovanovic. Taylor, J. E. 2015. The Ashura, the Menorah, and the Sacred Tree. New Evidence for Goddess Worship in Ancient Israel. Continuum. Walker, B. G. 1983. The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. Harper and Row. This message was brought to you by Hidden Whispers Revelation. Subscribe, share, and comment.